What is up, and welcome to the Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silver's 2023 SEC football preview. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. If you're watching on YouTube, we're doing these a team at a time to make the videos less husky and easier to watch. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are getting the full preview all at once because you have a pause button. Now, you should subscribe to both video and audio by checking the show notes or searching Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers so that you don't miss anything, such as the video-only, most entertaining weekly college football pick'em show in the history of the world, Brett's Bets. Speaking of Brett's Bets, I am joined today by the man himself, Brett Gosnell, to help me break down these SEC teams. Brett, let's get into it. The Alabama Crimson Tide, a down year for them last year, which is hilarious because they were 11-2, beat Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. Nick Saban back, looking for revenge, number 4 in the AP Top 25 heading into this season. Bryce Young is gone, went number 1 to the Carolina Panthers. Jahmyr Gibbs is gone. Are they rebuilding? What can we expect from them? Brett, what are you thinking?
So it's interesting to say, like you said, it's interesting to say that's a down year. So
I would kill for that.
Yeah, and the 2 games that they lost were in double overtime at LSU and then against at Tennessee, where they were about to be up 14 with like 5 minutes left. So that was a bad luck loss as well. So I would say last year, looking at that season, the demise of Bama is overrated, but the demise might actually come this year. I think they've got real concerns relative to what they'll still beat the shit out of us if we happen to face them. But, relative to what they want, I think they might have a big down year. So They lose Bryce Young, as you said, and the number 3 pick, Will Anderson. That's tough. We'll get into the specifics in a minute, but they lose both of their coordinators. Just a lot of the places we expect to see elite talent at Bama, we may not have it this year.
Yeah, you mentioned Bryce Young. He's out. Obviously, he was incredible, won the Heisman Trophy. The guy who seems to be leading that quarterback race, Tyler Buchner from Notre Dame, he was terrible at Notre Dame. And I know you don't have to be elite with Bama most years at quarterback. You can have like a game manager, but Buchner was bad. Like that's tough.
Yeah, and also competing him would be Jalen Milroe, elite runner. I mean, we saw what he did to Arkansas. And then Ty Simpson, who I've not seen do anything. But they were so reliant on Bryce Young last year. Like that he's just absolutely irreplaceable. But speaking of Buchner, he is bringing his OC with him. That's the new offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees from Notre Dame. Kind of a young whiz kid savant type. You got to give him a lot of credit for last year because Buchner looked bad, got hurt. The guy that backed him up, I don't even remember his name, but he was just awful, like truly awful. And the fact that Notre Dame won as many games as they did with that quarterback, Rees deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, and then I know like replacing Jahmyr Gibbs at running back with Bama, I don't know how much you worry about replacing running backs. I'm definitely more concerned about all the experience they lose on the other side of the ball more so than running back. And we've seen Nick Saban cobble together stuff offensively, but I think he gets a lot less comfortable when his defense isn't what it typically is.
Yeah, real quick to finish up with the offense, they have had elite receivers for so long there. Like as good as the running back have been for the last 15 years, the receivers have been that good for like the last 5 or 10 at least. Think of all the first rounders, year after year they put in the NFL. they didn't have anybody last year at receiver, and I have no clue who it's going to be this year. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be 5-star guys to see what happens, but nobody proven at all at receiver for them either.
Yeah, Jermaine Burton and Ja'Cory Brooks are back. Burton transferred in from Georgia, I believe, the year before, and he was supposed to be really good, but not a whole lot there. Brooks, kind of the same deal. So, yeah, even if Reese gets Buckner where he needs to be, I don't know who he's going to be throwing it to, like you're saying.
Yeah. So, looking at the defense, another new coordinator coming in, another person that will be familiar to South Carolina fans, Kevin Steele, former Clemson D coordinator, the guy who gave up 70 to West Virginia. You remember that guy? I think from Dillon, South Carolina native. So when Bama, they lost their coordinator to Peter Golding, right? I think is his name. He went to Ole Miss, and obviously that's a step down. So my first thought is like, this was a firing, but not a firing. You know, Saban's not upset to see him go. That's not the case. Apparently, from what I've read, Saban wanted to keep him. Just Golding's wife is an Ole Miss alum, and she talked him into going back home. So, yeah. But, regardless of how we get to Kevin Steele, that I don't think that's too good. I hope Saban will have his fingers all over that because I don't trust Kevin Steele.
No, because you mentioned like the Tennessee loss. That was – I'd never seen the Bama defense look like that. I think they give up 5 touchdowns to Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah. And like you say, they lose Will Anderson. They lose a lot. Kool-Aid McKinstry, owner of the best name in college football, probably he's back, but it'll be him and a bunch of 5-stars, but it's 5-stars that we have not seen dominate yet. So that's about as questionable as it gets at Alabama.
Yeah, their DBs look like probably the strongest unit with Kool-Aid coming back, but you can only cover someone for so long if you're not getting pressure. So it's going to be the front 7. Their toughest matchup, this is another one. Wasn't too scared by their schedule, really. I mean, maybe at Auburn. They play LSU again. Like the 2 teams that beat them last year, LSU and Tennessee, they get them at home this year.
Both at home.
So I think that is good for them. I think Saban's out for revenge. I don't know if you saw the picture of him like walking off the podium, like smiling like the Joker.
I had that in the notes to mention. Yeah.
So this kind of feels like one of those years where you think Bama is going to be shitty, and then Saban just pulls a rabbit out the hat and runs over everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and he still is the best coach in college football. I should mention they had this incoming recruiting class, I think, is the best in Bama history. For all we've hinted at their demise, they're bringing in 9 5-stars. I don't think South Carolina has had 9 in our history, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, Saban, he's still the best coach in college football, and not just from a program building perspective, like actually game planning and everything in game. I still think he's probably the best coach in college football. So their win total's 10.5. So still very high, but not as high as it usually is.
Do you think they go over or under that?
I would, with all the questions, I'd have to say under, because they lost 2 games last year with everything, with Bryce Young still there and Will Anderson. So you got to say under, but I'm not betting it.
And what would you think Saban would have to do to get fired on the field? We'll say on the field, because I don't know that he.
Yeah, I don't know that he can. Like, Joe, I'm thinking about like Joe Paterno, like how he just had a historic lifetime appointment up there because he was such a legend. Saban earned that at Bama, don't you think? Now it's a different crowd. I mean, they're going as much as they love Saban after 5 years of losing or something, they might get impatient, but I don't know how you ever fire him.
I tell you what, Paterno was the one who tested that theory, though.
Yeah.
Then he died to get away from the investigation. Yeah. Like, that's the next level. Good for him. No, I don't know. Even we're talking about a down year that would get like a statue built of you at South Carolina, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. How could you be unhappy with anything that's gone on? I think if they would be open to like trading him to South Carolina, I'd be willing to have those discussions. But no, I think he's probably there for life.
Yeah. And when you've been so good, it might be kind of fun to have a 10-2, like you're in the thick of it and actually competing with everybody. I don't know. I remember the year we beat them when they were number one. So that was 10. It was 2010. And they ended up losing to Auburn, but they went like 9-4 or something that year. The Bama fans still packed out the bowl game. They play. I can't remember what bowl game. One of those Florida bowl games against Michigan State, I think it was. But I remember like being interested in that game because I'm like, are Bama fans going to show up? They're used to going to the national title. Now they're going to go to the whatever Gator Bowl or whatever, and they did, man. Like they were into it. So like, I don't know. I mean, I think as long as they're halfway good, I mean, Bama's going to tune it. The fans are going to tune in.
Yeah, they love. I mean, what else do they have? They love Bama football.
Yeah.
So, no, I think you're right. It would be fun this year for them to make some noise, and we can talk about how Bama snuck up on everybody because I can't remember the last time we could say such a thing. But no, I think down year for them, good year for any other program in the world.
Yep.
Boom. Did we cover it all?
Yep. I think
covered it all, just like Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yep.